Good afternoon and welcome to the week 4 lecture video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. Okay, so once again, this class is taking a three-pronged approach to learning research methods. The first prong is learning about theory. How are you doing this? You're reading the textbook and you're taking the quizzes, and we're reviewing the quizzes, okay? Prong 2 is related to SPSS. All of you at this point should have taken statistics and/or data analysis. Statistics usually being mostly by hand, data analysis usually using SPSS, SAS, or something like that. But the whole point of this, you're not doing SPSS, right? You're just reviewing my SPSS lecture notes from my data analysis class, and you're just reminding yourselves of statistical interpretations, because you will need to know these statistical interpretations for the results section of your paper. That being said, I will help you out if you have questions, and I will be providing feedback, and I will point you in the right direction if you get stuck. Prong 3 of this class is the actual research paper, okay? Lectures like this one. So the lectures are focused on writing a research paper. Discussion forums. Each week, you're doing a little piece of the paper, and after X amount of weeks, there's a lot of weeks, you'll have written the paper. And other assignments, meaning the rough draft assignments, okay? So throughout this process, I will be giving you feedback at key points. So far, I've already given you feedback regarding your hypotheses, and I'll get into that. But I will give you feedback regarding your article summaries, your introduction section, your method section, your results section. So as long as you're keeping up with things, your paper will be written by the end of the term, and you'll do really well in the class. Okay. So that's the three-pronged approach to research methods. Let's go ahead and look at the SPSS Lecture 2 key. So again, what are you supposed to do? You're not supposed to do any of this output, right? You're just paying attention to what's going on. What you're doing the interpretations, okay? So anything in red. So you see this interpretation in red here, okay? And for some of the questions, you don't have to write anything down, but other ones, look, there's a bunch of interpretations here for understanding descriptive statistics, and so on and so forth. So I think you understand that. This being said, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so regarding the week 2 discussion assignment, let's take a look at that. So the point of this assignment was for you to take from your week 1 discussion assignment the variables that you're interested in and craft 3 hypotheses. So again, I'm not expecting you to be an expert crafter of hypotheses. So what I did, I went through and I replied to each of your discussion posts, and I revised your hypotheses. So basically what I gave you are your hypotheses. Use the exact wording. If you want to change the wording or change your hypotheses, let me know. And some of you were right on the money and your hypotheses were perfect. Other of you, you had great hypotheses, but the problem was personality and gay marriage attitudes, our study, didn't actually have the data to back up your analyses, meaning your analyses were great. Your hypotheses were great, but we have to use the data gathered from personality and gay marriage attitudes to assess your hypotheses and to see if your prediction is either correct or not correct. And so if we don't have the data in our study, that the hypothesis just isn't going to work. So for some of you, and I would say most of you, if not all, had really great hypotheses, but again, if your hypotheses didn't have to do with the data that we had in our study, personality and gay marriage attitudes, then I just basically assigned you hypotheses. So this being said, if you want to change your hypotheses, and I'll repeat this, you need to email me because I want to make sure you don't get lost or go down the wrong track. And if you want to change the wording, go ahead and email me. If you're happy with what you have, then you're done. You have your hypotheses. Now continue on. Let's take a look at the week 3 discussion. So last week's discussion gave you an opportunity to find some empirical articles related to your hypotheses. So it's as simple as this. If one of your hypotheses had to do with the relationship between gender and support for same-sex marriage, you would go to the library website and you would literally search those two terms, gender, same-sex marriage, and you would try to find some empirical articles. Empirical meaning the articles have a clearly labeled methods and results section. Okay, and that would be one of your articles because it would be discussing that relationship between gender and support for same-sex marriage. Again, even though our study is personality and personality and gay marriage attitudes, you do not have to use support for same-sex marriage as one of your variables. Okay, some of you were looking at the relationship. I think I'm actually making this up, but for example, between gender and self-esteem, okay, or religiosity and self-esteem, or self-esteem and openness. So there's, your hypotheses do not have to deal with support for same-sex marriage. There's plenty of data in our study, personality and gay marriage attitudes. Okay. And so I just want to make a note here. By the end of the class, you'll need a total of 10 sources, okay? So 10 articles will be in the literature review of your introduction section. And we're not there yet. So you don't know what a literature review is, but basically let me explain it to you. What we're covering today are article summaries. So literally summarizing the articles that you found, okay? So you need 10 of those article summaries for part of your paper. And you're literally taking your article summaries and dropping them in your paper. Okay. So annotated bibliography, I like to call it an article summary. Usually an annotated bibliography starts with the reference at the top and then you summarize it. But I think article summary is a lot clearer. So basically in your article summary, they need to be about 1 page, first off. About 1 page, double spaced, Times New Roman, 12 point, right? Because that's APA style. The first part of the article summary is the objective. So what you're trying to answer here is, what's the objective of the article that you're summarizing? A good way to think of this is what are or is so what are the hypotheses, or what is the hypothesis, right? So for example, I just put an example here. Arndt, Greenberg, Pazinski, and Solomon, 1997, examined the mortality salience hypothesis using college student judgments of a pro and an anti-gay, an anti-US author, right? We're doing a pro and an anti-gay marriage author in our study, but this is their study. So here, this is just the objective, okay, of this article that's being summarized right here. So you could state the objective, so like I did, but you can also state the hypotheses of that article. So you're likely to find the objective in a APA research paper in the first paragraph or two of the introduction section. And you're likely to find the hypotheses in the last paragraph of the introduction section of the paper. So that should help you out. The second part of an article summary is summarizing the method the authors used. Okay, so some questions that might help you here. What did the authors do to test their hypotheses? Who were their participants? What measures did they use? What was the procedure? Okay, so whereas this first part was the objective, and again, I did this article summary for my dissertation. So it was clear in that context what their hypotheses were. So I just stated the objective. But I would recommend for all of you, you state their objective, which is in the first couple paragraphs of the introduction section, as well as their hypotheses, which come at the end of their introduction section. Now, this part, this method part, you're going to get from the method section of their paper. So after completing some filler questionnaires, students were randomly assigned to answer 2 open-ended questions regarding mortality or taking an exam. ... This is describing the study that they conducted in order to assess their hypotheses. So that's the second part of an article summary. The third part is summarizing the conclusions. Okay. And this information is found in the results and the discussion sections of a research paper. But I would recommend you look at the first part of the discussion section, the first couple paragraphs, because according to APA style, these authors or authors of a research paper should summarize their findings in more simplistic language at the beginning of their discussion section. Otherwise, if you're digging around the results and you're not that proficient in statistics, you'll get lost. So once again, look at that, the first few paragraphs of the discussion section. What did the authors find and conclude from their results? What were the implications of the study? How does it contribute to past research they cited in the introduction? Were there any noted limitations or future directions? And all this is fine, but what I really want you to focus on is what did they find? So as long as you're saying that, you're good. If you want to add some of these other details that you find interesting, that's fine. Okay, so that's really what you need to know for writing an article summary. And again, one thing I want to point out to you is you have 3 hypotheses. Okay, you need 10 articles related to your hypotheses. So you could have, for example, 4 articles related to your first hypothesis, 3 articles related to your second hypothesis, and 3 articles related to your third, for a total of 10 articles, right? Because you need those 10 articles in your literature. Okay, or you could have 6, 2, and 2. Okay, so any combination like that, but you just need a total of 10 articles that are related to your hypotheses. And it could be the case that there's not much regarding one of your hypotheses. So it might actually be 5, 4, and 1. So if we go to the week 4 folder, you'll see I included a bunch of article summaries for you to look at. Okay. So there's some from my undergraduate days and some from my graduate school days. So you'll see a combination of both of those. But again, the requirement is 1 page, double spaced, 1-inch margins, size 12, Times New Roman, right? That's APA style. So what's due Sunday by 11:59 p.m.? It's going to be the week 4 discussion. And all it says is part 1, pick 1 empirical article you found, okay, from the week 3 discussion and summarize it. If you want, you can just pick a new article. If you decide, oh, you know what, after I watched this lecture video or I thought more about it, the articles that I got were actually not going to work. So find a new one. That's fine. Okay. Remember to follow the article summary guidelines discussed in the week 4 lecture video. And then I point out objective, method, conclusions. Part 2, to respond to 2 other students, compare what they wrote to the article summary guidelines and let them know if they missed anything. Now, this is important. Research is all about collaboration. So you are all colleagues. You need to review each other's work, okay? You review each other's work, and I review your work as well. Okay? And that's how this class rolls out. So this is really important. Oh, and I want to point out, make sure your initial discussion posts are a minimum of 200 words, okay? And your responses are a minimum of 100 words, okay? Please do that, because 100 words is not a lot. So if you have a short response like, oh yeah, your article summary looks great. Yeah, does it really? You know, just say more. Tell them what they did well or something they can improve on. Did they follow APA style? Is it at least a page long? After you read it, do you have questions? Also, please let them know if something is unclear, and if possible, suggest a correction. Remember, respectful, honest feedback will help us grow as researchers and critical thinkers, critical thinking being the purpose of college, okay? And then, of course, there is quiz 2. So that's going to cover topics 12 through 22 from the book, okay? Well, that's all I have for you. So definitely email me if you have any questions and or visit office hours. I'm here to help you succeed. And there are no bad questions, so just ask them all, okay? Have a great week. Take care.